Hi there, everybody. How are y'all doing? Welcome back to the distance learning program. I'm glad you're here today, and I hope that these videos are helpful for you. What I'm going to do today is start on Unit 9, and we're going to go to page 111 of the Ventures3 book. So if you could get your Ventures3 book out and turn to page 111, we're going to continue with Unit 9. In the last video, I read the conversation between Samantha and Monica after we looked at the pictures on page 110. So, since I've already read the conversation, let's answer the questions in part 2. That's on page 111. It says, listen and answer the questions. Who are the speakers? In the last video, we saw that the speakers are Monica and Samantha. Monica and Samantha. Then it says, what are they talking about? Well, if you remember the conversation, Monica called Samantha and told her that she had been robbed. So the lady in the green, she called this lady here in the gray and told her that she had been robbed when they were at a neighbor's house. And remember, robbery is when someone steals something from someplace. So someone had broken into her home and stolen things out of her house. So let's look at the questions in part B and see if we can answer the questions. Number 1 says, what happened to Monica and Todd? What happened at Monica and Todd's house? And the answer in the book says, someone broke into it. And broke into means that they forcibly entered the house, like by breaking a window or breaking the door to be able to get into the house. Then number 2 says, where were Monica and Todd when the robbery happened? So if you look at the conversation at the back of the book, you can see in the conversation it says, here, after Samantha asks Monica, broke into your house, that's terrible, when, how? Monica says, well, around 7:30, we went over to the Moreno's next door to watch a movie. So the answer would be they were at a neighbor's house when the robbery occurred. Next, it says, what did the robber steal? Well, if you look at the conversation at the back of the book, you'll see that the robber stole a TV, a DVD player, jewelry, and cash. How has the neighborhood changed? Well, they were talking about how there was more crime in the neighborhood, so you could say more crime exists now. And then finally it says, what does Samantha think they should do? In the conversation, it says that Samantha makes a suggestion that they start a neighborhood watch program. She says right here, I think we should start a neighborhood watch program, don't you? And then Monica says, yeah, we've been talking about that for months. I agree. It's time we finally did it. So they decide to start a neighborhood watch program. All right, now let's move to part 3. It says, after you listen, and I'm going to read the words in the gray box. Broke into, come over, crime, got in, mess, robbed, robber, stole, and worried. So we're going to use these words in the blanks in the green box. So in this paragraph below, we need to choose a word from the gray box to fill in each blank. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the green box paragraph, and I'm going to fill in the correct words for you so that you can see what the answers are. It says, Monica called Samantha with bad news. While Monica and Todd were out, someone broke into their home and stole their TV, DVD player, jewelry, and some cash. Monica is upset because the robber took her mother's ring. She says the person got in through a window in the back bedroom. Samantha is worried. She says they never used to have so much crime in their neighborhood. She tells Monica that last week someone robbed their neighbor, Mr. Purdy, too. Samantha thinks they should start a neighborhood watch program. Monica agrees, but first she needs to clean up the mess in her house. Samantha offers to come over and help. All right. So now that we've finished answering the page 111 questions, let's move to page 112, which is the lesson on the past continuous verb form. So this is a grammar lesson, and in the last lesson we learned about present continuous and present perfect continuous. Now we're going to learn about past continuous. And it says, grammar focus, questions and answers. In the yellow box, it says, use the past continuous to talk about actions that were happening at a specific time in the past. The actions were not completed at the time. So when you want to use a verb to describe something that happened in the past that continued for a period of time, that did not complete or it did not end, this is what you use. You use the past continuous. Here are some questions and answers. It says, what was Beth doing yesterday morning? So this indicates that Beth was doing something, meaning that there was an action that she was doing yesterday morning that did not end. And it says she was cleaning her house. So if you said, what was Beth doing yesterday morning at 11 o'clock, that means at that specific time, what was she doing? And it would mean that she didn't stop cleaning her house at 11 o'clock, but it continued to happen after 11 o'clock. So you would say she was cleaning her house. Next, it says, what were the neighbors doing at 10 o'clock? They were watching TV. So again, they were watching TV at that particular time, and then they probably continued to watch TV after 10 o'clock. And remember, the way to form the past continuous is it's similar to the present continuous. Remember, present continuous is the verb to be in the present tense with the ing form of the main verb following it. It's very simple to use the past tense of the verb to be followed by the ing form to make the past continuous. So just remember, it's the past tense of the verb to be, and then you use the ing form or the continuous form of the main verb. So the next question says, what were you doing Friday night? So were is the past tense of the verb to be, and then doing is the ing form of the main verb. And then it says, I was doing my homework. Next, was Maria visiting a neighbor last night? You can answer that with a short answer, and you can simply say, yes, she was. You don't have to complete the entire sentence. You can just say, yes, she was. Or if you want to use the negative, you could say, no, she wasn't. So you just use the verb to be in the past tense, either affirmative or negative. Yes, she was, or no, she wasn't. The next question is, were they watching a movie at 8:30? The answer would be yes, they were, or no, they weren't. Now remember that the verb to be has to match the subject. So if you're using they, you can't use was in the answer. You need to use were. So it says, were they watching a movie at 8:30? You would say, yes, they were. Or no, they weren't. And then finally, were you working overtime on the weekend? The answer would be yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. And down here in the orange box below, it shows that wasn't is a contraction that means was not, and weren't is a contraction that means were not. Now let's look at part 2, and it says complete the sentences, use the verbs in the word box below. Use the past continuous. So we're going to want to use the past continuous, which we've just been studying here in this top section, and we're going to form the past continuous with the correct verb for each of these different sentences. So I'll read the words in the gray box first. It says attend, babysit, bake, drive, eat, paint, play, study, visit, work, and watch. So for number 1, it says Roberto and Maya. We were watching a movie at the Rialto Theater. So to make the past continuous, you use the past form of the verb to be with we as the subject, so it would be were, and then you put the ing form of the main verb after it, and that would be watching. So we were watching a movie at the Rialto Theater. That's a question, a sentence using the past continuous form of the verb. Number 2, my young. I was studying English at home last night. So the I is the subject, was studying is the past continuous form of the verb study. So I was studying English at home last night. Number 3, Ciro. I was driving to work. I was driving to work. Number 4, Magda and Luis. We were eating dinner at Kate's Kitchen restaurant. Next, Ilian and Francine. We were attending a neighborhood watch meeting. 6, Susanna. I was babysitting my grandchildren at my granddaughter's house. At my daughter's house. Number 7, Claudia. I was baking a cake for my daughter's birthday party. I was baking a cake for my daughter's birthday party. Lila and Mark. We were painting the kitchen. Daniel. I was visiting my friend and playing video games. Mary and sorry. We were working late at our hair salon. Now, let's turn to page 113. It says, talk with a partner, look at the picture, ask and answer questions, use the past continuous and the verbs in the box. So, if you look at the first example, it says, what was Bill doing at 7 o'clock? And the answer is, he was reading. So you can see that this is Bill sitting in this armchair, and he's reading the newspaper. So the question would be, what was Bill doing at 7 p.m.? And the answer is, he was reading. So we want to use these verbs that are in the gray box to ask and answer the questions. So first is knit, play a game, read, sew, talk, and watch TV. So the next question could be about Elisa. And the question would be, is what was Elisa doing at 7 p.m.? And as you can see, she's knitting right now, maybe a sweater or a scarf. So you would say, she was knitting. You use the past tense of the verb to be, which would be was, and then the ing form of knit would be knitting. Next, look at Maria. What would the question be? You would say, what was Maria doing at 7 p.m.? Now, you can see that she is not knitting. She has a needle in her hand, so she is sewing. So you would say, Maria was sewing. When you're knitting, you use these long knitting needles, but sewing is when you might sew a hole in a shirt or sew a button on a shirt, you use a small needle. Next, let's talk about Judy. The question would be, what was Judy doing at 7 p.m.? And as you can see, she's holding a phone to her ear, so you could say she was talking on the phone. Next, Pedro. What was Pedro doing at 7 p.m.? And you can see that Pedro is looking across the room at the big screen TV, so you could say Pedro was watching TV. What were John and Sandra doing? John and Sandra were watching TV. And then finally, what were Isaiah and Beatrice doing? And you can see that they're playing checkers because that's a checkerboard. So you would say they were playing a game. And finally, let's look at part 3, communicate. It says work in a small group, ask and answer questions. Take notes in the chart. So I'll read the conversation in the blue box. It says, Sergio, were you at home at 9 o'clock a.m. yesterday? Or 9 a.m. yesterday? Yes, I was. What were you doing? I was sleeping. So if you would like to ask any of your family members questions about what they were doing, you can use the past continuous, and then you can ask them about what their actions were at a certain time of the day, and you can fill in the answers. But you can do that individually, okay? So thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.